So today's topic of discussion is very simple and it is one of the most important topics that you can ever learn in your freelancing journey because this is about negotiation. This is about you convincing the other person or you telling the other person that you are worth their money. And this is about you getting the money from overseas or from your own country, from your client to your bank account. This is the most important aspect of freelancing, and this is where many people, many, and by many I mean the majority of people, they lag here. They do not know what they have to do, and as a result, they are either bullied or they agree to work at a lower rate. But if you are watching me, if you are consuming my content, be assured if you follow everything, there is no way any client, whether it be international or domestic, can ever bully you or make you cut down the rate. So, if we talk about the chronology, this video is about the time where you have done the sales call, where it is almost 95% sure that you are going to get the offer, but they want to come on a negotiation round, they want to negotiate about your pricing. So this is about that aspect of the deal where you have to negotiate with the client. It would be a lot better if you can have a grab a pen and paper and write down what I am saying, because this is something that I would rarely talk about in the coming days, and this is really important. So are you ready? The first thing, make the offer first. In most cases, the client is straight up going to ask you what is your budget. And what most people do is they will ask the client the budget. So you counter question them. You do not have to do that. Just straight up give them your budget or your prices for the services or the bundle of services that you are offering. Assume the charges for your services is 70,000. So you quote the client 70,000. Now, the client quotes you 50,000, that they have a maximum budget of 50,000. So you are going to lose 20,000 from your original rate that was of 70,000. Now, in this situation, once you have told the client, so now subconsciously you have the upper hand and the client might be inclined to push the budget over, because budget is not an issue in 90% cases. It is the credibility and the trust and the value that the other person is bringing onto the table. Once a client gets all this clear in his head, they can push up the budget. So what would have happened if you have counter questioned the client and they would have said the budget is 50,000? Now the client told you first that they have 50,000 for this role, and this is the first time you are discussing the negotiations and you are discussing the pricings with that particular client. Not first time in your career, with that particular client you are having it for the first time. So indirectly, now the client has the upper hand because they already told you that they have 50,000 for this, but you know your service is at 70,000. So to bridge that 20,000 gap, you can't do much from your perspective. That's why once you tell them firstly, the client might be inclined to push it. Once you guys are past the offer, then ask the client that for whatever position or whatever role they are hiring you, was there someone who was doing this thing firstly and what all they have done? Or are they hiring just for the first time? Because these are the only two possibilities. Either the company is really fresh and they are looking for someone to handle that department, or they already had someone who was managing that department, but that guy was not up to the mark. So they got rid of him and they are trying to get you. That thing you need to know from them, because you do not want to repeat all the things that they had already done in the past, so that you can come up with a fresh and a unique perspective. If we go back to my first example, where the client had a budget of 50,000 and you had a budget of 70,000, so how are you going to bridge it? So if we go back to the first scenario, where the client told you first the budget that they had a 50,000 budget and you have a budget of 70,000, or maybe vice versa, that you told the client first that you have a budget of 70,000 and they had it of 50,000, how you have to deal with the price gap of 20,000? And the answer for that is MSEOs. It is multiple simultaneous equivalent offers. It sounds complicated, right? But you guys like complications because I've tried to keep things simple, but you don't just able to get it, right? You are not able to get it. MSEOs is nothing but you come up with a common ground. Either you scale down your price to 60,000, but you cut some deliverables. So you do not offer 100% of the service, you offer 90% or 85% for that 10,000 price difference. If the client is really rigid about the budget, that we only need it at 50,000, tell them I can do it at 50,000, because obviously you can do it at 50,000 if you can do it at 70,000, right? It doesn't make sense to deny them because of the pricing. What you do is you cut down your deliverables. So if you are a writer, you cut down the number of blocks. That if they are asking for 10 blocks for 50,000, you say I can only do 7. If you are a video editor and the client is asking that we need 15 videos and the budget is 50,000, you tell them that 15 is not possible, the sweet spot would be 10 to 12. So that way also the client in most cases will join you, because either they will just go back, recalculate whether they actually need 15 or not, and they can work with less deliverables or not. That is how you bridge that gap. And the last thing about negotiations, it would be always be ready to walk away. In my consultation calls, I see that people, they repent a lot, that oh my god, I lost this client, I lost this big client. No, you didn't lost the client. The word potential client, you start using it. You get on a sales call, that person is not your client, he is your potential client. Potential, that person can be your client, he is not your client. And until unless you have got money in the bank, that person is not your client. So there is no point repenting on it, because clients at times they are just doing their market research, or they are not hiring, or they hired someone else. There are n number of possibilities. You do not have to take that thing personally. You say I can do what the client is asking at the same budget of 50,000, but you will cut deliverables. And the client says that I cannot compromise on the deliverables and I cannot increase the budget. In this case, you have to leave. Leave him. Let the client stay and you go. Because that client is not for you. Obviously, you do not want to be underworked, right? You do not want to keep doing work at a lower rate. If the market rate is 70 and you are doing it at 50, either you have a really solid reason to do it at 50, like you are learning, or the company is really good, or it will enhance your portfolio, or something else. If that is the reason, that's fine. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. So yeah, that was pretty much it for this brief and in-depth video. If you like the content, do not forget to hit the like button. And if you want more such content directly on your feed, do consider subscribing to the channel, because that is the only motivator that I have at the moment. And yeah, that is pretty much it for this time. I'll see you in the next videos with some more meaningful and practical insights and topics. So till then, take care and bye bye.